accept the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, April 19th, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and next we have planning, 9 o'clock.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First up, we have the continued setback variance from Pauline and Ruben Jasso. So with that discussion, attached further down, Shaq, are the non-opposition letters from the property owners to the north and south.
Okay. Would you like to add anything, or?
Just we have the originals here, if needed.
Okay.
Yeah, these are just the originals that they brought.
Which,
Don't have any issues with us putting the property there. It's not interfering in any views or anything like that, so everything's perfect, everyone's fine with us setting it there.
okay. All right, commissioners, questions or comments?
No, it was pretty well vetted 2 weeks ago. So I would move we accept the variance submitted by Ruben and Pauline Jasso, lot number 50, Summit Lake West Unit 1, Major Subdivision at 14517 Road 35.9, Mancos.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the variance submitted by Ruben and Pauline Jasso? Jasso, sorry.
Oh,
Jasso.
okay.
For the record, to make sure I get it correctly. Jasso, lot number 50 of the Summit Lake West Unit 1 Major Subdivision at 14517 Road 35.9, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 1.21 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Again, just the last comment that I have is, thank you for really going and talking to your neighbors. I think that it shows me a lot, because that's what we forget to do anymore, is to go talk to our neighbors and actually have, a conversation to say, look, this is what we're doing, and we realize it's our property, but to have that conversation up front, because then it's a whole lot easier to deal with issues up front than in the back side of it. So I do thank you for that. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
So, I'm sorry, I'm assuming we can just move forward then, we can kind of go over the property and set it there, and move forward?
Yeah, did you pay your road impact fee for that?
Yes, last time we were here.
I thought you had. Okay,
Yes. Perfect,
perfect.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2, Don. We just need to sign
Yeah,
the,
this is an application from Jay and JenniLynn Lawrence and her father, Mr. Sorry, what's your last name? Yeah. He is here representing them. They are requesting a boundary line adjustment between their two properties. The front property is a little over 7 acres and the back property is a little over 9 acres. And they're looking to move that common north-south property line to the east to a current existing fence. It'll be roughly 1.6, 1.7 acres plus or minus. Neither parcel is in a subdivision, so they don't have to go through the subdivision operation of amending that. So Shaq, if you'll scroll down, it'll show you the proposed, or maybe scroll up, the proposed adjustment of that section there. So the back property will pick up the extra acreage, be rezoned from AR 3 to 9 to AR 10 to 34. The front half will stay AR 3 to 9, and they're looking at selling that property. They're building a house there at the address there in the back for their new residents.
So reading it, it just goes to an existing fence line, correct?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
kind of what exists?
Make the boundary line, follow the fence.
This is easy.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of goes to an old fence line, and you're just adding the legal description where it meets the old fence line, and we're adding approximate 1.5 acres.
And
Or-
they'll still remain compliant with land use.
Okay,
I don't have any problem. They're just changing the lot sizes between the two
which
two
is getting
property
bigger.
owners. I'm not creating any new lots or anything, so I have no problem with it.
Okay, I would so move that we approve a boundary line adjustment application submitted by Jay and JenniLynn Lawrence on properties located at 12663 Road 40, Mancos.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a boundary line adjustment application submitted by Jay and JenniLynn Lawrence on properties located at 12663 Road 40, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 9.48 acres more or less, and 12641 Road 40, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 7.89 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sir. There you go. Good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Everett.
Appreciate it. So now we have 3 Mylars for signature. One is the Redder exempted property from last week. We have that Mylar and the exemption document. We also have the Greg and Eric Taylor exempted plat and that document. And then we have the Duncan Leonard boundary line adjustment from, well, it was previously signed, but there was some errors in the plat, so that has been revised. But this was a boundary line adjustment that was approved back in December, I believe. So we just need to have that new Mylar signed so it can get recorded.
Okay.
did it again. Well, I gathering static electricity from somewhere. Just touched the edge of my computer and things just. It just goes crazy. Yeah. Guess I'm gonna have to carry around a grounding.
That's all we got unless you have questions or something more to discuss.
Actually, I do. So, last week, I actually met with Mr. McLean, and if you want to come up here, had a request from one of our constituents, and it was talking about the ease of accessibility to the records, or not necessarily records, but what's coming up in planning and zoning and to the BOCC. A lot of it pertained mostly to planning and zoning, so the first question is, I know obviously we have the capability to stream everything on YouTube and be live. So at this point in time, we are not streaming that. Is there a reason that the planning and zoning does not want to do that? That is a public meeting, just like,
It's never been done.
okay.
Actually, that's not true. We did do it, when we first started the streaming process, we were streaming P and Z meetings, but then,
What year?
it's been.
Because 2019, when I was here, we
It was like-
never
it was
streamed.
Right when we started doing stuff in here, it was only for a short time.
We streamed them here, but we didn't stream them on P and Z.
In 2017 and 18, I think we did, or 2017.
Right, and that's why I'm asking. I'm not saying that you guys have had anything to do with that. I'm just saying, it doesn't seem like, it's a public meeting anyway, so we have all the capabilities. It just lets the people watch the planning and zoning meeting also. Obviously, it's of no issue for us to stream those through the IT department.
No,
Anyway, that was brought up. Since we have planning in here and this pertains to them, I was just bringing it up to the commission. What you guys have thoughts, comments, concerns?
I mean, it's public access. If we can get it without causing planning commission any problems, you know, the flow of the meeting not being interrupted, I see no problem with doing it.
I was at Dolores last night and I was watching theirs, and they stream theirs also. I don't know what Cortez does, but I'm pretty sure they stream theirs.
They're planning, yeah.
So it's just one more layer of letting people log into it if they want to. I don't have an issue with it, and I don't.
I think one of the biggest questions that she had about that, streaming it is obviously not a difficult process. It's the same as we do here. So that part's pretty simple. The question came about their public interaction. So she.
Public comment.
Right, and so you have two choices at that point. One is we set up Zoom meetings, just like we're doing, like he does sometimes in here, and you allow people to log in through Zoom, or you do it through the YouTube comment section. So that's really what.
Or you could do it the way we do it now, and if they have a comment, they can send it with somebody, or they can email it to us with their name and address to be read.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd be concerned about comments being submitted via YouTube. I mean, that can be a little bit cumbersome.
If you
It's
start
different
opening
things
up
come
to Zoom, we
come
have
through.
no way to screen anything, and you've seen what happens.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, they can comment, not necessarily in the chat, but to just view it, more than anything to view it.
They could
And then
view
if-
it, but
If
we
they
can't
have
open
an
it up to
issue, then they
YouTube
can,
to just anybody making a comment, because we don't know who we're letting in and who we're not, and you've seen how that works.
we have seen how that works.
And we can turn off comments too. I mean, there's,
But it sounds like we can control everything, just like testifying at the Capitol. They control everything. You're logged in, you can watch it, but you can't do anything until you're called upon.
Yeah, the danger is
So-
when you start letting other people share screens.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about, there shouldn't be an issue with that at all. So,
No, they can view it.
I guess, a little more discussion that we can work on. And then the other thing was too, is making, and I don't know if you had time to even look at this or not yet, Jim, or your staff, as far as, so it sounds like there's a more of a complicated mix of trying to find the documents per each public hearing. And I don't know if that's just the system or how it's put together. I didn't,
So for 2 years, we've had our portal up and running, and under public notices, those are all listed. Somehow in the last, they did an update the first part of March, and now it no longer lists any of our public notice applications. And I've been with their IT department trying to get it resolved. That hasn't happened yet. Right now, all it gives you is a search bar. So if you want to search for a PUD, you can type in PUD. If you want to search for a subdivision application, you can type in SUB. But it strictly is a search bar that shows up, whereas before it would list all of our applications that were being public noticed and discussed.
And that's on the Dude Solutions side, that's not our IT side.
No, it's nothing to do with us. It's through our software, and it's been a weekly email-a-thon and no resolution yet, but I am still pursuing it.
okay. So I guess what I would ask, communicate with Dawn, and maybe you can help them with their IT department, because if that's, it should be relatively easily accessible for the public if they want to look at it or view it. And if it's, I guess I don't understand why they keep, well, probably like everything else, they're not there, or they're not home, but all the IT stuff happens from home anyway. So,
I couldn't tell you. I don't know why they can't fix something that worked before.
I don't either, but anyway, Jim, would you work with Dawn on that so we can see if we
Yeah, so our plan
can?
was that to get with you anyway and see if we could figure out maybe a more streamlined process for our website. And maybe the two link them up somehow so we can make it a little easier for people to find what they're looking for. So we've already been working on that, so yes, we will get it resolved somehow.
Okay, so I guess, gentlemen, I don't know if that's, is that something that we need to vote on, or is that just a direction item?
I mean, I don't think that this is necessarily something that requires a vote if we want to stream these meetings.
Right.
I think that that's something that we certainly can do. I mean,
Well, it was a request, but I wanted to bring it up because obviously it's a decision of all three of us that need to be listening to it and hearing it.
I can send an email to the P&Z Commission and see if there's any reasons or any issues that they have.
There shouldn't be, it's a public meeting. So, okay, commissioners, you guys have any issues one way or another?
No, I think it's fine.
Fine?
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right, that was all I had under
Thanks, Jim.
planning. Thank you, Jim. Commissioners? Okay.
That's it.
Oh, we have, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have our public comment session. Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Person speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments, and comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time, and with that, the public comment session is open.
Good morning. My name is Mike Lynch. I live at 21730 Road S. Give you my request first that I don't run out of time without saying it. If you haven't done so already, I urge the commissioners to band together with other commissioners from around the state and put out a public statement, hopefully a united one, opposing and condemning and protesting the Senate Bill 22-153 as unconstitutional government overreach, chilling of free speech, and a destruction of some of each county's liberties and autonomy. Also, I urge you to contact our state's House of Representatives and tell them how bad this bill is. Please send a blanket email to all the members of the Colorado House of Representatives with your concerns and disagreements with the bill, either as Montezuma County or as a group of like-minded commissioners from around the state. And I urge all those who are listening to this and watching this meeting to do the same. Quickly, please. Time is of the essence. It might be voted on by the House this week. I have copies of the bill for you this morning. The bill is passed in the Senate already and will be coming up soon in the House. Will the Democrat-led House pass the bill? Probably, but isn't this subject worth taking a stand for? In Section 3, they define election records, but they exclude important computer program activity logs and digital backup images. In Section 12, they add to the election records the log created by the system. So if the system is designed to erase all program activity logs but keep the election officials' activity logs, then this section would allow it, the log created by the system. Section 13 allows the Secretary of State to certify the results of a county even if that county's local canvass board has decided not to certify the results, no matter the cause. Section 14 specifies the penalty for failure to comply with requirements of the Secretary of State as a Class 1 misdemeanor with up to 18 months in prison or $5,000 fine or both. Section 15 takes away the right of the county to make a digital image backup of the election records with penalty of a Class 5 felony with prison time of 1 to 3 years or a fine of $1,000 to $100,000 or both. Section 9 mandates that all counties with 1,000 or more active electors must adopt an electronic or electromechanical voting system for tabulating votes at all elections. Our budget for this will be controlled by the Secretary of State because she will select the equipment and the services. You lose control over this part of your budget. Section 12 requires that each county keep all components of a voting system under video security surveillance recording. $500,000 will be used in a grant program to assist with costs. If divided equally among the 61 counties affected, that would be $81.97, and it won't be divided equally. How much will this add to our budget? Please help preserve the liberties of the people of our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Okay, seeing nobody else for public comment, we're going to close the public comment session and we are going to go to our sheriff, Mr. Nallen, for a grant approval.
Sheriff, did you want to connect or did you want me to display the documents? Either way is fine with me. Okay.
Thanks. Faster, I think. Because you're here, I know I can connect, Jack. Thank you.
Get yourself connected. Writings on the wall.
Oh my God.
You can just call me Shaq.
That was
It's okay.
Saturday night, Shaq, not today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Major and Kim. Okay, I have 4 grants that I've asked for approval of for equipment and training grants. The first one is the Firefighter Safety and Disease Prevention Grant that we applied for and were awarded that pays for the equipment and the training of 3 deputies that are now certified wildland fire investigators. and this equipment. So this came from the Division of Fire and Public Safety grant that came out first part of the year. So the award amount is covers the training and the equipment, $6,977.81. That grant will expire October the 31st of this year. Should I keep going? So you want to do them all?
Just, yep,
Okay.
keep
Do
going.
them all.
All right, here we go. The next one is from the National Rifle Association Range Grant. This is for equipment, which is the updated and upgraded technology of ear protection that allows for communication between the officers on the firing line and within the range during training and the instructors. Makes it a lot safer for both hearing protection and the biggest thing is communications immediately. So that grant award is $783.96 for that protection. And let's see. Next one is Peace Officer Standard and Training Small Dollar Grant, number 50 for this year. This is for the Icac instructor training. This is the in addition to the critical incident training, which is this is one that is nationally recognized and in actually going to most law enforcement agencies for integrating communications, assessments, and tactics for defusing critical incidents. I went through this training several months ago along with several other of the command staff from the Sheriff's Office, and it is the way of the future. It's very good communications of how to de-escalate in critical situations. This grant pays for the tuition of $1,700. It will expire June 30th of this year. And the last one is from Firehouse Subs, believe it or not. It's not for sandwiches or food, but it's the Public Safety Foundation grant. This grant we had been applying for because they came out with public safety equipment grants about 4 years ago. We've been applying for this grant for snowmobiles for the Sheriff's Office about 3 years now. We finally got this grant awarded to purchase 2021 Polaris Titan snowmobile. This will be used for the Sheriff's Office in search and rescue and patrol missions. The total grant value is $14,553. This grant will expire October the 31st of this year. And that's all 4 of them so far. I have 2 more that will be coming hopefully if I get awarded.
So I have a question on the Titan snowmobile. Because that's a pretty specialized machine just for towing and pulling. It's not a mountain machine at all.
No, not at all.
What is the purpose of it?
Because of the public lands and having access to that for winter recreation and whatnot, there's a lot of people. Search and rescue only has 1 machine. Can't get any more through DOLA. We're having problems with the DOLA grant, the way that's changed. And I've spoken to some Colorado senators and representatives to help try and figure out how we can actually not have Montezuma County cut out of that search and rescue funding. But this is, we don't have this equipment at all. We need to have some access, being able to get through there. And that's why we've been applying for this equipment.
Steve, would you explain to me why Montezuma County's cut out of that fund?
The law changed from the bill introduced last year to where non-for-profit 501(c) search and rescue organizations, which Montezuma County Search and Rescue is also a non-profit organization. However, they are sworn and under the sheriff's office. And during search and rescue operations, by statute, the sheriff is in charge of those operations. And so we've always been able to apply for those grants. And when that law changed, it allowed for these nonprofit search and rescue groups, and mostly around Silverthorne and Aspen and those places that have, they're actually a separate entity from the sheriff. And I'm not sure how that works. I've asked, and I never really got any good answers about how that can happen when, especially if they're gonna be a standalone, they have to have their own liability insurance. What happens if they get injured, things like that. For the sheriff's office and the Montezuma County Search and Rescue, because they're part of the sheriff's office, they're covered by the county's insurance. They are. Through the training and everything, that's why we go for the grants. It's for the equipment and the training. And they opened up, the state put a lot of money into these new grants. Supposedly there's 3 different phases. The very first phase went to all of these nonprofits. We got nothing. So I don't know what is going to happen with the second phase. We've only asked for close to about $85,000 in equipment and training for the search and rescue team, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. Our representatives in the state and some senators are questioning that too. I just want to make sure that, and it has to be the sheriff that applies for those grants, but now with this bill, they can apply for that grant funding. And so it takes away from, like us, Montezuma County. Good questions to ask. So if you'd like, I can send you that bill that changed the law and our grant process. They wanted to have our search and rescue have a memorandum between them and the sheriff, which they're already part of the sheriff's office, even by policy. So we'll jump through the hoops to see what can happen, but the search and rescue team here did not want to separate because of the liability and the insurance and everything else that's needed. It doesn't make any sense, but I don't know. They're high dollar counties that have access to this stuff, like Summit County and whatnot. They're the ones that are getting a lot of the funding. So I don't know. We'll see.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, send
I'm
me-
frustrated with it. I really am.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'll keep you informed.
Commissioner Copenager?
I moved it. You want to do all 4 of these at once, or?
Do them all together, yeah.
Okay. I move to approve the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant for the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $14,553. Also move to approve the Montezuma County Sheriff's Firefighter Safety and Disease Prevention Grant number 23576 in the amount of $6,978. Montezuma County Sheriff NRA grant number 22CO033 in the amount of $783.96. And the Montezuma County Sheriff's small dollar grant number POGG 1-LAAA-GT 20220050 in the amount of $1,700.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the Montezuma County Sheriff's Firehouse Sub Public Safety Foundation grant in the amount of $14,553, along with the Firefighter Safety and Disease Prevention grant for $6,978. The Montezuma County NRA range grant in the amount of $783.96, and the post small dollar grant in the amount of $1,700 for the Icac instructor. Any questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioners, I've got one more thing while the sheriff's here. The sheriff's office also just approved for the applied for the court security grant, which they apply for every year. And I know last week we had talked about the last 2 weeks, in fact, we talked about the unfunded portion from the State Department of Corrections for their prisoners that we hold, that they pay a little over half what it costs to actually house them. Every year the sheriff applies for 4 deputies for the court security grant because he's got to provide security at the front doors as well as in the courtrooms. And every year we're denied 2 of those, and we end up paying for the other 2 deputies out of county funds. So I just want to make sure that the commission is aware of that. The statute requires us to provide full security, but they do not fund us to provide full
Correct.
security.
That's correct.
So
Every year.
here again, I'm gonna ask a kind of, might seem like a crazy question, but here again, an unfunded mandate that the state says that we have to do,
Yep.
but have we ever said, okay, we're not gonna do it?
Well, by
I mean,
statute,
you
we
have to fund it,
provide
the
security.
statute,
Yeah.
but the statute, the way the law reads, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the state cannot pass a bill without funding it.
Yeah.
But they consistently not do it. What, I mean,
I hear you. You know, this has been the problem, and the judge, the chief judge.
I understand
as well as the
it, but my
administrator-
question is, have we ever went to the chief judge and just said, we don't have the money to fund it, you have to fund it? We will provide it, but you have to pay for it.
And the state judicial department will not fund it. Yeah, there you go. And they throw it right back at the statute. And
Well,
so
the statutes
it's back
by
and forth
law
constantly.
cannot be implemented without the funding created behind them.
So Commissioner, there may be an argument that that statute's unconstitutional because the Constitution prohibits unfunded mandates. The way to attack it would be to bring a case challenging the constitutionality of that statute. I'm not sure whether that's been done across the state. I'd have to do some research on that.
Can we set up,
There's a lot of statutes that are unconstitutional.
can we set up a conversation with the chief judge? And, because I can't tell you that that's ever been a discussion when we've met with him.
So,
Just for situational awareness for the commission, the chief judge always signs off on the grant request. He's asking for the funding too.
Yeah.
I think
He's
the
asking for
difficulty,
funding.
I mean, I think the
Yep.
difficulty
Always
in
has.
any sort
Always
of
has.
meeting with the chief judge is gonna be that the statute says what it says, and it's on the books. Now, whether that statute's constitutional or not, there may be a question there. But, I mean, as far as the chief judge goes, he's got the statute that says we have to do it. And that's the law. Now, whether
But
that
the
law
law
is
says they
constitutional.
have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. We're doing what we're supposed to do, but they're not doing what they're supposed to do. That's the issue. We constantly run into this. It's,
And look how many bills are in the hopper now that violate that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think just like what we're looking at the DOC, we've got to start.
Do
I
they,
know.
do they fund this at 2 because that's what they think you need?
They have only so much money that they've allocated, the state has allocated for judicial security at every courthouse. in
So
the
then
county
if
state.
they've only allocated 2, we provide 2.
Sometimes the larger counties, they get funded for more. Smaller counties such as us, they've only gone for 2. And there's no way to appeal any of that. You understand? There is no appealing process for this grant funding from the state. And that's the frustrating part. I've visited so much with Eric Hogue, or Eric at the county administrator for the court, and I'll tell you, La Plata County gets some additional funding where we don't. And it seems like we've gotten some equipment from this grant funding that really kind of messed things up 2 years ago. But from now on, it's just been personnel and their benefits. That's the big thing. They have to pay for it. we'll
So
see
I
what-
guess, Ian, this is another thing for us to take up our conversation with the DOC, because it's,
I'm right there with you. I
it's gotta
understand,
stop.
okay?
It's
But-
gotta stop. It can't continue this way. We cannot continue to strap our people
Yeah.
with everything that the state continues to push down our throat. It just, if they're gonna do it and create the law says that you also have to fund it.
Yeah, yeah.
And when we're looking at what we're looking at every day now, I mean, it's
Oh, I hear you.
just there's no logic in it. So add that to our list for the DOC, Ian, please.
Because the Montezuma County is not the only county that's in this boat, okay? They're not.
And maybe that's something that collaboratively CCI needs to take up and say, hey, you want us to provide DOC holds, you want us to provide court security, you put it in statute that we have to do it, so
Well,
put up
I
or shut
will-
up.
I will have another one then, Ian, that you'll have to draft language to, because this doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I don't see that I, as the sheriff, have the funding to file a lawsuit against the state for that. That's just
I understand that.
not gonna happen, okay? I don't know. I think that as collectively as counties get together, should be able to draw some pressure to this.
And probably draw more pressure if the sheriff signed on with it.
Mm-hmm. Sure, be more than happy to be right there with you.
Well,
So-
there's not a department that's not affected by some of these unfunded mandates. The clerk's
Right.
office,
Oh,
your
everybody
office.
is. Yeah, yeah, we all are. We see it all the time, don't we? We have for years. And we,
Well, they're
Even-
equally unfunding Montrose County, La Plata County, our county. I reached out to a bunch of other county commissioners last week over our conversation with the DOC and what they're getting paid for their holds also. So they're not funding any of it. Archuleta County. So Ian and I are
It's a-
following up on that as far as the DOC hold.
Yeah.
It's a real problem, but, I mean, as we saw last week, I made several calls to the DOC's main lines, and all I got was computers, and sent out an email, and we got a response that it had been forwarded on to the appropriate person, and no response since then. So, I mean, we'll keep
Is-
trying, but
So basically unfunding the same as defunding? I mean, you can
seems
draw
like
that,
doesn't it? Yep.
you can draw that line.
You know, and I have seen where every single department in the state is just a mess right now. It really is. Hard to get in the right things, just like with the court security grant. They changed everything.
Yes, they did.
Changed it all.
They completely changed the way we even apply for this
Yes.
stinking thing.
And there's no presentation with anything. You can't go and argue anything. It has to be in writing, and it's sent through this set-up email system that they have.
And they changed it the week Wanda had to have it done.
Yes, so we were jumping through hoops, okay? But, you know, that's what happens. But, you know, the thing is that we're not getting what we need, but we're getting some, but we're not getting what we need. How do we fix that? And I think that together, a lot of the counties, the majority of the counties, if they're fearing the same thing, then there should be some addressing system to change.
And that'll be two priority issues that we'll
Yeah.
draft for that language, then I'll carry to CCI. so
When we
that
go to
can
CCI the end of May,
try to get
beginning of
that taken
June,
care of.
we'll all be there, so
Yeah.
might as well get it on their fall legislative deal.
It is with the Chiefs of Police Association and the County Sheriffs of Colorado and the Fraternal Order of Police that have come together and attacking a lot of these bills that are being introduced. A lot of that energy is being put and spent into that instead of what has already been created. Just trying to slow down and take out some of those ridiculous things that they put in these bills that they try to pass. It's really been frustrating for everybody.
Well, if they want it, fund it.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Yep. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
So I have one last thing, and I'm not sure I made it myself clear yesterday in the workshop. So for the shooting ranges, all you have to buy is the culvert. And then, I don't know if,
That's all we have to buy is the culvert?
buy the, well, let me finish. Buy the culvert, and the email that Rob sent back, once they get the material crushed, once that is filled in down there, then you still have to pay the royalty, because we have to pay the royalty for the material. Then it's just a time process of when he could get it scheduled in.
Sure.
But that needs to be installed, and then that road built up so that there's not a drainage, you're not right in the bottom of a drainage. And I don't know if Tyson had the time to talk to Mel, because that's on the landfill, so we can't just take road funds and put it down on the landfill. However, if you reimburse for the culvert out of your budget, it can be put in, he can then spread the material for you. And you pay the royalties for the material. Like I said, 65 tons at the shooting range and 30 tons, at $1.25 a ton, I think is what he said, or $1.20. It's very little money, and you'll get everything you need. So that's your biggest line item, is $614 for a stick.
Okay.
So
All right. Thanks. Okay.
just to make sure you understood, what we were talking about. I don't think you need to look at a grant for $600.
All right.
Okay?
I'd check with Cruzan pretty soon about the culvert, because I have no idea what the supply chain looks like on those.
Rob has it.
Oh, Rob's already got it. Well, there you go.
Yeah. I'll check and see what would be the best price. I'll check around.
And that's for a 24-foot culvert to get across that road, because it's not straight across, or it's at a diagonal.
Right. Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, next on our agenda, we're gonna go into the public service, and the first we have is social services, Gina and Lori.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I would so move we accept the minutes of the proceedings of March 22nd, 2002 for the Board of Social Services, and also the expenditures in the amount of $1,711,820.11.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the record of proceedings for the Montezuma County Social Services for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022, and also the payables in the amount of $1,711,820.11. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
what do you got, nothing?
I'm multitasking today because we're having a conference right now, convening conference on youth, family, and children. And so I'm going to go back to my conference. But I learned something today, this morning. There was a speaker who stated that a child is removed from their home every 2 minutes in the United States. And 13% of those who are removed from the home are removed due to physical abuse. And the remaining, due to, physical abuse, 13% of those children. And it also said there was something like 500,000 children who are in foster home today in the United States. And it's talking about social services and departments need to be looking at prevention services. And that's what we're doing here in Montezuma County by bringing MST therapy. We have 6 families signed up for MST therapy, and that therapist is on the go like 24/7 working with those families that we have currently. We have something like 83 Program Area 6 cases, which include adoption cases and permanency cases. That's 83. We have 20 Program Area 5, which is children who are at risk or have been abused. Those are 20 of our cases currently. And we have something like 11 children enrolled in the beta program currently. And that's a regional contract that we have with Archuleta, La Plata, Montezuma, and Dolores. And the beta program is being provided by BOCC. And it's a good program because they do wraparound services with children and families in our county. So a lot of services are being provided to our families. I'm happy to say that. We do the best that we can with funding, because I just heard you talk about funding. And funding is very important for the department in providing those kinds of services. I recently asked for another $15,000 for the Promoting Safe and Family Systems, which is basically a regional contract where the N.M.P.M provides community services to family and children, and they got an extra $9,000 for their PSSF program. So, you know, I keep asking for money wherever I see it, and I'm asking for another $9,400 for helping with our recruitment in Montezuma County, and that application is due at the end of the week. So I'm busy asking for money and applying for grants, and it seems that's what most of the counties are doing right now, is we need more money, and that's how it goes.
Gina, when you say 9,400 for recruitment, is that for foster home recruitment or what type of recruitment?
Foster home recruitment,
Okay.
with expanding that area and providing meetings with foster parents, them being able to engage and sharing their experiences with other foster parents. We have 4 currently under the certification process currently. So I'm looking very hopeful at that program and expanding foster care recruitment in Montezuma County, because it's already traumatic enough to have a child removed from the home, but when they're removed and taken out of the county because we don't have enough placements, that's some serious trauma and damage that happens to a child, and I want that to stop. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and smile and grin and keep on doing what we're doing.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ladies. Let's see, Saren, Veterans Services.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Here we go.
So for our numbers, we served 620 people total this year, or this month, sorry. It's going by, this year's going by fast. Our expenditures were at $7,902.60 for March. Walk-in appointments were Walk-in and appointments were 147 people, or 155 people. Last year was 147, so that was an increase of 8. And we assisted 620. We had 13 new clients for March. Year-to-date makes it 29. We did 4 home visits. My home visits are in-home. They're usually like at the DAV Outreach or one of the other vet organizations. And we filed 8 claims. We had 8 decisions returned. 6 were favorable and 2 were unfavorable, giving new monthly payments of $1245 with a new annual total of 14 for the month. The annual amount is $14,940 with retro payments to those 6 favorable at $13,943.30. Also with the report, this is something that I'm working on with Arlena and Katie with the health department, mental health resources. We're hitting the ground running on that, and this is a survey that we've put out to the veterans. I have roughly 20 back right now. We're gonna let it go a little longer. We're just trying to really push to see what our veterans are needing mental health wise. This survey also spurred conversations about morale. Morale, you know, in the military kept us from having mental health issues. And that was often done through our extracurricular activities like golfing, bowling, barbecues, you know, unit barbecues, or some of us bar time, just kind of depended on where we were at in our phase of life. And I had several veterans comment about having activities available that were veteran oriented. I've had a few citizens in the county approach me this year about starting activities like that, like a golf program for veterans. Fly fishing program was another one that was brought up as well. So with a few key veterans in the area, I'm looking at, you know, what can we tap into to have activities like that available. You know, there's seasonal, maybe some hunting expeditions for veterans who are into hunting, some get-togethers, barbecues, stuff like that. So, and there's a lot of that happens. Usually it's within an organization though, and not all, you know, it's sometimes not open to all veterans, or it's not, you know. So we're trying to kind of make sure we cater to everyone. So that's where we're at with that. So, and then Shaq wrote up a statement.
I did.
Did you not do it?
I put it in the commissioner's packets.
Okay.
I told them what was going on, but I did not write an official statement. I'm happy
Okay.
to bring up their packets.
Okay, so as you know, there some questions about the Durango Clinic transferring to Grand Junction. We've discussed that previously. After talking with, well, and getting phone calls from Senator Bennett's office, other veterans that would come into my office. I talked with state VSOs. I talked with outreach coordinators with Grand Junction and Albuquerque system, and looked at VA reports that they sent to the AIR Commission on what they want to do with VA healthcare over the next year. That's an all-inclusive packet all across all VISNs, all, you know, the whole network, healthcare network. Durango's not moving. It's all talk, it's all rumor at this point, and it happens every couple of years. Someone within VA healthcare or a community member will say, hey, it'd be a great idea to have Durango with Grand Junction. And that's as far as it goes, until they put something in writing to the VA secretary and get it into a budget, because that would take millions of dollars to move a clinic. It's not happening, so. I just wanted to make a formal statement, let you guys know if you had any questions about it.
Well, that was gonna be my question, because like this states, I was, confronted in the alleyway leaving the clerk's office last week by one of the DAV people, and I then contacted John Whitney right away from Senator Bennett's office, saying, look, our people here want to have the flexibility to either go to Grand Junction or go to Albuquerque. It's the same, it's basically the same distance either way, depending on what their needs are. You know, Albuquerque has things differently, and or so does Farmington, which is 75 miles away in comparison to 250 miles away. So just, he said there is some talk on the eastern slope of them doing some different things with that for the veterans clinics. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we are supporting our veterans here, what they need as far as the proximity, because we are so close to the border of New Mexico.
Right.
Senator, or not Senator Bennett, but John Whitney from Senator Bennett's office did get back to me in a phone conversation after an email that went out also. So, questions or comments, gentlemen?
No, thanks for putting that out. Might get with Miss Vicky back here and put that up on our site.
Okay. We can do
So, and John Whitney knows from me specifically that we do not want to, because it sounded like they wanted to push all of our veterans just to Grand Junction,
that. Right.
which is, that doesn't make any sense. When you're 250 miles away and they can go to Farmington to the clinic there, it just makes it more cumbersome and harder on them.
Right.
So, yeah,
Because we're on the border of two different networks, we're in a unique position where we can choose which network we go to. We have a lot of veterans in Grand Junction, we have a lot of veterans in Albuquerque, and it just depends on the veteran's preference. You know, and it's up to them.
sure.
We give them both choices
Well-
when they come into our office for enrollment.
The statement that he
So-
made was that we were pushing to push all veterans to Grand Junction, and that is not true at all. That is not even remotely
Right.
a conversation that we have had up here, and or with Senator Bennett's office. So I just wanted to bring this up to make sure that our veterans knew that we are fighting so that they continue to have a choice whether they want to go to New Mexico or they want to stay in Colorado. It's
Mhm.
specifically their choice.
And the Durango clinic's not going anywhere.
So,
Right, they're not, there are some closures within the New Mexico system, but because they're older clinics or that veteran population is dying, they do have plans to reopen a clinic close, you know, in proximity to the clinics they're closing, but further north or further south, depending on where the veterans have moved. But as far as any other closures within New Mexico system, there aren't any. There was discussion about updating Grand Junction's VA Healthcare Hospital. It's just simply not in the budget this year. So, you know, that's,
okay.
as far as I know.
I would
that's not
also
happening.
like for you to reach out to the DAV to make sure that they know that this is not being forced. As a matter of fact, it's just opposite. We support them in whichever choice they want to make.
Right, I have spoken with the DAV commander, and I told him that if I needed to go in person, I would, and that we would make a public announcement at today's meeting.
Okay?
So, he's very understanding, and he was agreeable
Okay?
with where we were at, so,
All right, very good.
okay? If there's nothing else,
Okay, gentlemen?
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right, thank you, sir. MoCo, I see Jennifer in the back. Good morning.
Morning.
So MoCo's doing pretty good. We did 748 rides last month. We averaged before COVID 9 to 1,000, so we're getting there. We're starting to climb up. A lot of those rides are Medicaid rides. We're building those back up, so that's nice. We did 32 Meals on Wheels last month. We haven't done any this month. We're just too busy. I hired 3 people, lost 2, and then lost another one. So we went from 5 to 4. So we're still looking for help. And, you know, I mean, we've done it with 4. We just would rather have 5 or 6 just to make sure that, you know, we don't have to deny any rides. We're really trying not to have to do that. So even my dispatcher's going out for rides so that we're not denying any. So we finally got the award for the feasibility studies in the system. So now next step would be to start getting some bids on that to see, you know, where we're going to go with that for the fixed route. We did get an IT grant as well. It's for apps, different apps for people to use, passes, like through the apps, and a system to actually update what we're doing for dispatch now, which is just using Excel. So we're looking forward to doing that. So we'll be looking for some bids on that. And then we haven't heard about our vehicle grant yet, so nobody has. So I don't know.
You may get the grant, but you might not get the vehicle.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it might be, you know, a couple of years. But so, you know, we're still waiting on that. The IT grant will probably be coming through to you to sign if it hasn't already.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen it come through.
I've got
mine
a couple
either.
of others, but
Okay.
not that one.
Okay. They just announced those, so probably, you know, I just went in and did all the stuff in the computer for it, so it should be coming soon. But other than that, we're plugging along and trying to get back to pre-COVID numbers, so. And that's all I have.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I'll be watching for that also.
Okay.
Jonathan Parker is not going to be here with us today, so we're going to scratch him off the agenda and we'll bring up CSU. Greg.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is the April 2022 extension report. I'm going to start out with a report from Emily Lockard, the agriculture and livestock agent. She's working on a May 25th irrigation workshop for larger irrigation managers in Montezuma County and collaborating with NRCS, the conservation districts, and Fozzie's Farm to put that on later this month. So that's great work with collaboration that she's been doing on that irrigation front. Next, I'm going to talk on next Friday. We start off our Native Plant Masters course. This is the 2nd year in a row that it's been packed, full, and obvious, and a waiting list for this program. So it's something we've identified that is needed, that people are interested in. It's going to be at Hawkins Preserve and Canyon of the Ancients National Monument Visitor Center. And I'd like to thank community members Ann Street Jocelyn and David Faulkner, who will be leading that class. Next, I want to talk on some of our Spanish and Indigenous outreach and engagement through the Extension Office. Last week we had a really great follow-up focus group for Spanish speakers here in the Montezuma County area, and looking to implement healthy living program, food skills classes that was identified through the Extension Office for that audience. In addition to that, our Indigenous outreach, I really want to highlight AmeriCorps Vista member Arlene Colero. She's a member of the Ute Mountain Ute tribe that has been working with CSU and the tribe on building greater capacity for programming between our two entities. And what was really great about a meeting last week, we're organizing a specific STEM summer camp in July that will take place in Toyac. And I just can't thank her enough as she's working with the Icac Community Academy, and as that Community Academy continues to grow, how that relationship, not only with CSU Extension, but all different services can expand onto that end with gardening and a variety of stuff. So gardening season's coming up, and we're excited to get some classes out later this month and into the summer. Lastly, I'll kind of hit on Andrea Jeter and her amazing work with the 4-H program. Obviously, the first thing I'm going to say that should be sent out, and hopefully has been through our office and through the county as well too, is reminding people that of the HPAI, highly pathogenic avian influenza, that is affecting the state of Colorado. Definitely a plant in Montrose, a more commercial plant. They identified it there, also in La Plata County as well too. So reminding people to be looking up at the Colorado Department of Agriculture website that has the most up-to-date information. We'll continue to get more information out there, and just reminding all across the board livestock owners in the county the importance of biosecurity measures on your operations, but particularly poultry operations or backyard flocks. The one in La Plata County was a backyard flock. And so this is serious. This is something to definitely let people know about, continue to get it out, because it's definitely making a sad effect to the poultry industry and backyard flocks. With that, also it was great meeting yesterday a little bit with Emergency Manager Jim Spratlin. As we know, the 4-H program did a MyPI program for the younger youth about how to be prepared in emergency preparation. I honestly don't think it's going to be an if, it's going to be a when. We have emergency this summer, most likely a fire conditions, which we've seen in Arizona and New Mexico, starting earlier and earlier and heating up, to just remind homeowners that you have a plan, you have the necessary emergency bags if you do need to get out of your home in a quick situation.
And I'd like to just tag on to that. I know early in the morning we see plumes of smoke going up, but we've also had a lot of red flag warnings. So just a reminder to everybody listening out in YouTube land that during the month of May, the landfill will be taking that yard waste, the tree branches, leaves, all the stuff that normally ends up in the burn pile at no charge. We'll be adding it to our compost to alleviate the need for you to burn. So just a reminder to all those out there.
Awesome, Shaq. I think that's great. Yeah, so it's warming and warming, so let's be prepared for it as a county. Other things that were going on is the San Juan Basin Leadership Camp just got done, which a lot of our members from Montezuma County took part in, which was great. There is a small animal scale that Extension and the Fair Board purchased, and will be out at the fairgrounds, so we can weigh in the bunnies and hopefully the poultry for this year, but we're going to see with the HPAI where we go in that direction. Tag-ins coming up this weekend for goat, sheep, and swine members, so to be prepared for that, or to come and get your animal tagged in. Last but not least, I was going to hit on another project, a community benefit project out at the fairgrounds, of getting a new wash rack in at the fairgrounds. I know some work has been done already, And so we met yesterday with Justin and others with the county so that we're understanding and moving forward with putting out bids or RFQs published soon, and that where the Extension Office and the 4-H stakeholders are looking to do half the cost up to a certain amount. And so that's moving forward. Just want to make sure all the commissioners are aware of that, or at least it's moving forward to that bidding process, and we're going to see onto that. That can be a great community resource out at the fairground for livestock owners out there. So I just wanted to make you aware that those steps are in process right now.
And so that money would be up to $5,000 out of that, and then I think as Commissioner Candelaria mentioned in his report last week, the balance, whatever it ended up being after we get the quotes, would be eligible to be paid out of the conservation trust money.
Yep.
When those quotes come in, it would also be needed for the commissioners, since this was unbudgeted and will likely go over the 10,000, will for sure go over 5,000 and likely over 10,000. We will need to make a vote to include that with the rest of the items to be in the budget amendments at the end of the year. We won't need that now, but just to make you aware. when
That'll
that
just be a
comes.
budget adjustment at the end of the year, but they do have a $5,000 grant that they have to put toward that, to my understanding, and I obviously met with Justin and Andrea out there and put together the,
Yep.
a lot of this stuff for them on what they need to move forward.
Absolutely. And we're looking at a walkthrough date of May 12th after we get the bids out, so that contractors are on it, and crossing fingers that we could have it done before county fair.
Yep.
Would be something great. And if not, expressing to the community that it's in the works, that will get accomplished. So we're working on that.
Okay, very good.
And that's all I got. Any questions?
One thing I wanted to bring up, I was gone the last time that Greg presented, and during that meeting, the commission decided to wait until I got back, but there was an issue that came up with one of Greg's employees, Andrea, collecting more than 40 hours of comp time, and what they would like is for Andrea to hold more than 40 hours and to be able to burn it during the fall. Page 7 of our handbook says no more than, quote, no more than 40 hours of compensatory time may be accumulated. I lost my place.
Basically, they can
Without the consent of the Board of
40
Commission.
hours for comp time. So my question is, why don't we just pay her the overtime while she's working? Comp time is,
And I'm fine with
comp
that.
time is accrued at 1.5% anyway, so if she works an hour, she gets an hour and a half of comp time.
Yeah,
So-
I'm also good with that, and while they haven't budgeted for that, a budget is a guess, and it would help them to prepare for the following year's budget.
I would, whatever you guys think is the way we'll go, but, I mean, if she's working 45 hours, just pay her the overtime. It's pay her now or pay her later. And then that way we don't change the handbook, and we're not messing with it for one person, one time. I don't see the necessity of that. Just pay her for what she works.
Yeah. It's clean and simple.
I'm good with that. The handbook just says anything above that's gotta go to you guys, so.
Correct, and it's just another unpaid liability that we have to have the money set aside.
If you let it stack
for the
up, that's
back
right.
If we let it stack up, which doesn't, I don't like
She
unpaid
takes that
liabilities.
time off in the fall for that time stacking up.
Yeah.
That-
Right.
That
But
was,
if she's gonna work, instead of getting, she can only put 40 hours of comp times on the books.
right.
And if she, other than that, it'll be paid at overtime, and she'll get overtime for whatever she does through the fair, and that way we're not changing the handbook.
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, it had not gone in, like Shaq mentioned, before the budgets were established. So it
And
would-
so if
it
that line
would-
item were to go in the red, all it would do, it's not gonna bankrupt the county, but it would give a tool for planning for
It's
next
still,
year.
it's still coming out.
Correct,
It's
correct.
still
If
on
anything
comp
were
time
to
on the
happen, it
back
would
side
still
of it.
come
It's
out.
the same
You're
money.
correct.
So try to minimize it, but,
Right.
you know, let her do her job.
Absolutely, she works her butt off,
Yeah.
and so I want to,
Yeah.
compensate her for the amazing work that she does do for the county. But yeah, there's rules.
Changing the handbook just
For one.
for one, it's just easier, just if they work over the 40 hours, pay them and it's done. Not an unpaid liability on the books.
Well, I appreciate that information.
Also too, at the Dolores meeting last night, for their family project to construct and operate a community garden at Joe Royal Park, they did sign a resolution last night, resolution number 479. And the lady there basically said, although we as CSU are not involved with it per se, but you are her guidance or her.
Absolutely, I met with Amber, last
Direction.
week with direction, the town manager as well too, when they had their first initial meetings, but I think it's a great project, just like what people are doing at the Good Sam's Food Pantry,
Yeah.
this going on in Dolores, and being able to guide them through some production gardens, community garden space that can be used for supplemental fresh food, through the Dolores Family Project. I think it's a
Yeah.
great move
So,
forward.
like I said, not that we're involved directly, but indirectly through guidance, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
All right,
That's a great one. Thank you all.
that's all I have. Thanks, Greg. Okay, unfinished business, Shaq.
I'm not aware that I have any unfinished business, for you today.
Okay, and I don't have any in my notes either. We have a bunch of follow-ups for Ian and I, but we don't have anything to talk about today as far as unfinished business that we need to sign.
And then I
So-
wanted to let the commission know too that, Mr. Dietrich is in the middle of a closing process right now and is not gonna make it back in time for his report,
Okay,
so.
well, we will just remove that. Ian, we'll go with you. We'll let you start off with your report.
Yeah, so last Friday I met with our NCA work group and we went on a tour and walked around a portion of the area that's gonna be possibly covered by the NCA if we do get that legislation introduced. Thought that was a productive meeting. There were individuals from a lot of different entities there. The Dolores County Commissioners were there. We had representatives from some of the environmental groups, and we were able to look at some of that land that's covered. And so it's always helpful to get on the ground and see what exactly it is you're dealing with. We also met with a landowner that owns land that would be within the NCA. He provided us with some information. So all in all, I think it was a helpful meeting. We'll continue to move forward and try to iron out some of the fine points in that NCA legislation before we move forward. So I anticipate that work group's gonna continue to meet in the coming weeks. We don't have a meeting set right now, but I think there's gonna be a meeting sooner rather than later. So we'll continue to work towards that. I reported last week that the Walmart Board of Assessment Appeals case had been, their attorney had withdrawn and asked that that case be dismissed. That case was dismissed. We did get an order in the middle of last week, so that case is officially done. Other than that, we do have the appellate brief in our Road 41 case. That's due here at the end of the month. The insurance company requested an extension for that. I did prepare the brief. They're reviewing it. And so we'll have that filed here in the next 2 days. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Okay. All right, Mr. Powers.
All right. The first thing that I have for the commissioners as part of my report is the payables for the month of March. You did just approve the social services part of this. The total payables for the month of March is $4,110,183.80. You'll notice the general fund portion is significantly more. That's because, as you'll recall, we paid the dispatch fees out of that of $327,509.76. And then last year in the budget, we budgeted for the sheriff to replace radios at the cost of $111,859. And then we did have to do the quarterly payment to the district attorney for $236,218.25. So those are the big outliers that push the general fund abnormally large this year. If there's any other questions about the check register, I'm happy to answer them.
I don't have any.
I move to approve the expenditure for Montezuma County for March 2022 as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to pay the payables for Montezuma County from March 1st to March 31st, 2022, in the amount of $4,110,183.80. Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The next thing that I have, commissioners, is a grant came in this week for the health department. Everything from CDPHE is coming in the form of DocuSign now, and so Chairman Candelaria would need to DocuSign this after the vote for this health department grant. It is FAA 00035, and I think Ian's had a chance to look over this.
Yeah, I looked over it. I don't really see any issues. I think it's fairly standard.
I would move we approve grant from the Health Department for FAA 00035, the amount of $202,325.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept a grant for the Public Health Department, 23 FAA 00035, for fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $202,325. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we, with the Public Information Officer, have started working with multiple agencies about water conservation. As you know, the county commissioners do still have a drought disaster declaration in effect. That'll come up for renewal in June, but our Public Information Officer and I met with different agencies, and we have begun to put out water conservation videos. We're doing it in an outreach and education effort to, one, let the public know what all the entities are doing, the municipalities, ourselves, different water holders, and then to also show them what techniques they can be using to conserve water during this time. The community intervention program, the employees have been hired. They've gone through the training process. They're ready to launch. You received an invitation last night for Monday at 9:30 to go to the launching event of that. And so I want to let the public know that there's opportunity that one or more commissioners may be at that. That'll be at Station 3. Wednesday, we had a meeting with the grant writer and our economic development coordinator regarding House Bill 22-1282, which is going to, if passed, appropriate $40 million from the legislature to go into encouraging manufactured home production within the state of Colorado. As you know, we're ideally located to be able to manufacture homes not only for the western slope, but really the whole Four Corners area. And so we're following that closely, and we've been and will continue to be reaching out and working with some of those developers who have shown interest in moving that way, whether this is going to provide money for direct grants and for loans. So we'll be working with Region 9 to help those who are interested, hopefully be able to build factories in our area. We attended a SLFRF and ARPA webinar, and we got all the American Rescue Plan reporting, annual reporting done. At the gun show last week, we had representation from public health and from social services working around suicide prevention, foster homes, that type of thing. And then I wanted to let the commission know that there's been a meeting with the Opioid Regional Council and the Attorney General's office. There's going to be an official opt-in, opt-out form coming out the first week of May. I will get it before the commission, either the first or second week of May, depending on when it comes out. But as you recall, each jurisdiction within the state is going to get a nominal amount from the opioid settlements. Commissioner Copenhaver, previously this commission had discussed, since ours comes out to less than $20,000 a year for 18 years, just pooling that amount with the rest of the 5 counties and municipalities in our region to see if we could get more bang than we could do with, less than it would take to cover a part-time employee. At all of our discussions, the municipalities have been on board, the surrounding counties have been on board with trying to pool our money, but we'll need to take official action on that early in May. So I wanted to let you know that that's coming up. And then a reminder to the public that the commissioners have been invited to attend the farewell ceremony for Mike Mayor-Levy this evening at City Hall, 123 Roger Smith Avenue at 5 o'clock. And so by way of public notice, I wanted to let the public know about that. And then I have provided all the paperwork Empire Electric needs to begin doing a study to find out whether they have the capacity to put a transformer at Empire Electric or at the fairgrounds that would allow for solar there that would offset, in essence, all of the county costs. That was what we're paying now in electric bills. By the chairman and I had discussed that, and in our conversation regarding the conservation trust funds, we were told that funds could be used to offset that, and our grant coordinator is actively looking for grants that could be used, and if we could use the CTF for a match. So we've initiated the process to find out what the costs would be on that, and just wanted to keep the commission in the loop on that. That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
The question on the time for tonight, you said 5 o'clock, but I thought it was 7.
I have 1700 down on my notes, but maybe I meant 7.
Okay.
I thought it was 7 also.
1900.
Okay, well,
Okay, I'll
If you
find
guys
out,
get
but
there at 5 o'clock, just get Taco Bell and wait for me to show up.
We'll wait, all right.
Sit out front on the lawn.
Yeah. They won't open the doors till almost time to start, so.
Okay. All
Any
right.
other questions on that? Anything?
No.
Okay.
Commissioners report. I'll go to my left today, Mr. Copenhaver.
I really don't have much to report. I did miss the NCA field trip the other day. I did visit with the Dolores County Commission, actually, one of them one day and another one a different day, about their approach out there. And as far as, I guess there was some conversation about changing the boundary lines and that sort of stuff out there. And both of them was more amenable to just leaving it the way it is. And so I think that's the approach that we're gonna go forward with, because they were both in agreement with that too, so.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Ian?
Not really. There was a map floating around that one of the landowners had put forth, and he would like to see basically bigger boundaries for that NCA area. He distributed that. We talked about it a little bit, but, you know, again, I think Commissioner Copenhaver said it well. Well, I think there were feelings on both sides, of course. There were different groups there, but we'll continue to work through that.
Okay, very good.
That's all I got.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Lindsay.
City Council tonight, we had work session yesterday and went through some things. Also, took a couple of calls on roads, turned those over to the road superintendent, so that's about the size of it.
All right, very good. Well, last Wednesday, I started out with a lot of emails to a lot of other county commissioners in regards to the DOC and what they are getting for their reimbursement for their jails. And it looks like we are all being paid the same, which is $58, $59, whatever it is. It's significantly less, so that will be one of the items that I'll work with Ian to draft the language that we'll put that on one of the CCI initiated bills for next year. And now it sounds like we have another one also that we'll work on for the security at the courts. Pretty interesting from Montrose, La Plata County, and even Archuleta, what we're getting paid. And you know, like I said earlier, this stuff has just got to stop. We just cannot continue to keep paying for everything that the state sends down to us. It just doesn't make any logical sense. Thursday, I had a meeting here with Mrs. Ward, along with our IT department and our PIO officer. Some good things were discussed in there. Some of them you already heard about as far as planning this morning, being able to live stream those for the public so that they can view and listen in, whether they want to come in and comment or not. More to follow on that. I then had a conversation with John Whitney after I was had a conversation in the alley with one of the disabled American veterans about what was going on with moving everybody to Grand Junction or not allowing them to go. We've already went over that today, and you all know that we are not in favor of that, and we have moved that up to the senator's office through John Whitney. Friday afternoon was a CCI legislative briefing. But Friday morning, more than that, I was unable to fly to Denver. A group of county commissioners at 10 o'clock hit the steps in the Capitol to oppose. It did not have a number until last night. Senate Bill 22230, which is the collective bargaining bill. Everybody sat and wait, just kind of waiting, not patiently, but impatiently of what this bill is actually going to do. Higher education was dropped out of this bill. I did respond to an email from Barbara McLaughlin saying that she hadn't heard anything from anybody. So I responded immediately to her about our position with this bill, and I believe Commissioner Copenhaver also had responded to her, giving giving her our thoughts. I did reach out to La Plata County Commissioner Marcia Porter Norton, and we agreed that we would write an op-ed collectively from both Montezuma and La Plata County to get into the newspapers, and it's for Senate Bill 22-230, which this has just kind of come about. So gentlemen, I'm going to stop right there with my report. Shaq has it up on the screen. Do you have any issues or comments? Because we do need to approve this as a board to send it out to the newspapers. Well, you guys are reading this, basically just a little more for the public. Our first initial dollars that we see is going to be about $3 million to $4 million a year annually that's going to be added to our budgets. And this letter basically says, you know, with the decrease in our oil and gas, no sales tax, it's just another unfunded mandate from the top down that we can't afford. You know, we try to do the very best. We just did a salary survey. We included La Plata County in our survey. We do compete with them all the time. So we're trying to do the very best we can for our people, but there's still a fiscal note that comes along with everything. And this is not something that we want to entertain, and that's from La Plata County and Montezuma County.
You okay?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay. I move that we submit to La Plata County for their signatures also response to Senate Bill 22-230, the collective bargaining for counties.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to send an op-ed into the papers, the local papers, and anywhere else we can get in regards to Senate Bill 22-230, collective bargaining for counties. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, they're signing that. I'll continue. That pretty much finished up my day Friday. Saturday, I spent all morning out at the gun show. Had a lot of conversation with a lot of people, but it amazes me how we do mostly rumor control, because people hear things that are absolutely not true, or a soundbite of what they thought they heard, and in reality, it's not what they heard at all. So I challenge everybody to go back. If you have a question or a comment, go back and actually review them. We are recorded, we're live on YouTube, and you can go back and hear anything and everything that was ever said. But rumor control was probably the biggest thing I did. And the next thing that I want to say is not any one commissioner makes decisions. It's a commission of 3, and it's all done by a board. So the decisions that are made are all voted on by a board. No one commissioner commit to anything anywhere.
No.
So that needs to be clarified also. I then attended with our county clerk Saturday night, a fundraiser for the Child Advocacy Center, a lip sync concert, or a lip sync program competition that I somehow got roped into. So I spent Saturday night out at the Elks Club in a lip sync competition. Actually had a lot of fun. It was actually, it was an enjoyable evening out. Raised a lot of money for those kids right here locally, and all of that money that they collect goes to our local kids. So great cause. And again, it was a lot of fun. I believe that our clerk will be doing that next year.
We're gonna do a duet.
Actually took the day off Sunday. Monday, we came back in here, got started again. Went straight into our workshop. Our workshop, again, we started with our county coroner and Senate Bill 22-065, which is a permissive bill. I think you've heard us talk about it a little bit, but it directs Category 1 and 2 counties that if full-time pay for their coroners. It's permissive for Category 3 and 4 counties, which we are Category 3D. And that would be up to the county commissioners if it's something that we can afford or find the money to put into the budgets. We then went to our racetrack discussion. We had Mr. Julian Garcia from Garcia Motorsports. I believe he is from New Mexico. He has already gotten the wall replaced out there, and his first race is going to be March 13th and 14th. So here again, rumor control. Races are happening. We do have a new promoter out there, so things are good and moving forward. So if you like racing, go out there and support the racetrack and Mr. Garcia and help them along. We had a discussion with Empire Electric as far as countywide fiber. They have a presentation on the table from Connexon that would put the last mile fiber using Empire Electric's infrastructure, but it comes at a cost of about $55 million. Empire Electric's a little bit uneasy with $55 million, so their ask yesterday was to see if they could split that 50-50 and put 50% to the local governments, which would be the county, city of Cortez, town of Dolores, town of Mancos. With that, the statute that Ian pulled up basically states, and I'm going to let you read it, Ian, that we basically cannot bind ourselves to a note or a loan that may not.
Yeah, it'll take me 1 second to pull it up,
So,
Commissioner. I'm happy to read it.
Once he finds that, I'll let him read that to you. So, anyway, and then we had a discussion with non-compliant properties with our planning director. And then we also had a certification to pay with the sheriff as how we're gonna move forward with moving some stuff into the handbook for certifications for his deputies and what that ad pay will be as they move forward into those steps. And then I attended last night, I attended the Dolores Board. And as I stated earlier, they signed that resolution along with the direction of Greg Felson helping them with their community gardens. Their new officials were sworn in last night and the old ones exited the building. They have a new mayor, Leigh Reeves. Trustees, 3 of them, Todd Andrews, Jeff Sand, and Mark Youngquist. So last night was their first night as serving as the Dolores Town Board. I gave a brief update for them, and then I actually left once they started going through executive sessions, sunset laws, and so on and so forth. So didn't feel like I needed to sit through that again. And let's see, looking here at my notes. I did have a conversation, and Mr. Lynch is in the room, and I'm going to address this here today. You know, a lot of the information that we have had that gets brought forth to us identifies issues, concerns, or problems. And with that, we always like to have issues, concerns, or problems brought to us with solutions, because we are still, although we have a lot of other information, sometimes outside input is also good that we can add, just like the conversation that I had with Mrs. Ward over more transparency as far as our planning and zoning. So we like to hear things, but we also like to see what can you do to help us with issues or concerns that are being brought forward. So I've probably talked way too much already. I'm gonna let Ian read that statute, and then I'm gonna finish my report.
Yeah, so Commissioner, this is actually a provision of the Colorado State Constitution. It's Article 11, Section 1. And what it says is neither the state nor any county, city, town, township, or school district shall lend or pledge the credit or faith thereof directly or indirectly in any manner to or in aid of any person, company, or corporation, public or private, for any amount or for any purpose whatever, or become responsible for any debt, contract, or liability of any person, company, or corporation, public or private, in or out of this state. In essence, that, what it means is the county can't sign up to become responsible for somebody's debt in the event they're not able to pay it.
Correct. And actually did have one more here. As far as Senate Bill 22-153, this has been heard at CCI. We've voted on this bill, and I'm gonna actually, not to put you on the spot, Kim, but if you have anything that you wanna say with this, I do believe that most of the Clerks Association had voted on this also, but I'm not sure where they ended up with this.
The clerks were in approval of it with amendments, but I don't know, last I heard, I don't know exactly what amendments had been approved and what hadn't.
Okay, and I don't know when this is going to, I did say that I want to say that it had been heard 3 times on the Senate floor and it already passed. So I'm not sure where this is at, but I will follow up on 153 today with my, part of my homework. So with that, I have nothing else. Gentlemen, anything else?
Not that I can think of. There's red flag warnings out today and tomorrow, and a weather watch on Thursday, so be careful out there. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn this April 26, 2022 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.